One of the things, it's important to put washers in for adjustment. And I use aluminum washers throughout the entire airplane versus steel. It saves weight. You notice that these, quite a few washers this side, no washers, or just one actually. And over here, we got this set up, and we got this set up here. That gives you as much as about a ½ inch of movement if you really want it without doing anything to your cables. Now, I also have washers down here and up here. You can see the differences. And I have washers underneath, front and back. Now, down here on the back, I have a cable situation. It's not very adjustable, but on the front, I have a cable situation which is a little bit of adjustable. Not that I want them too tight, but I want to be able to adjust them just a little bit. Now, you notice how I've got this all set up. Now, my airplane is dirty. It's filthy dirty. I fly the heck out of it. And I'm more interested in flying than having the prettiest airplane around. Now, you notice what I done to this guide up here? Originally, I was going to put it down here, one of these down here, but because of the geometry, I had to move it up there. I've got one down there I got to remove one of these days. Now, my tail wheel area, I've got pretty much per plans. I've got a couple of lightning weights and got some adjustment holes so I can adjust the rudder pedal settings. I have a fiberglass tail wheel spring, and then I have a tail wheel that's set up not like what Leonard shows, but more like a conventional airplane, and that way I find I get a whole lot more control of it. This here's a area of the elevator bell crank, what that looks like. And my tail wheel, for those that are interested, it's all, I build it myself. The wheel itself I got from Aircraft Spruce. It's one of those that they use on a lot of the lightweight airplanes. And I took it and chucked it up in a lathe and removed a whole bunch of material just to lighten it up even more. And I did not quite build my plans, airplane to plans, because you might notice I got an extra hinge joint right there. The reason I got an extra hinge joint right there is because I take my airplane apart, put it in a trailer and move it and put it back together. And that right there makes it so much easier and doesn't add much weight. Now, I'm not going to say anything about that hinge joint, but you might look at that one and look at that one, and that's just the way I've saved weight. Now, there's my eagle. Got to have an eagle on your eagle. Here's my other eagle. And here's a little bit further out view of those tail surfaces. Now, up here I got my antenna, and then I've got guides for cables. I got another guide for cable, and then up here I got two guides. Plans call for a pulley, but I got guides. I've got my pulleys for the aileron cables. I've got safety straps on everything that's a pulley so the cables cannot come out of the pulley. I got stops to keep the stick going too far left or right. That's mainly when nobody's in the airplane, because when there's someone in the airplane, you run into your feet, your legs, so you can't go too far. Here's a close-up of the seat belt attach. Here's what I've done to put my cables in place, and not necessarily the greatest way, but it takes care of it. And a little bit of the landing gear attach area, some of the front landing gear attach area. Now here's my guides up front up here, and over there. And while we're looking up here at the rear cables, one of the things to be aware of, you notice I got some marks on my bolts up there on the bottom engine bolts. I got holes in there, but I haven't safety wired them yet. Those things do vibrate loose over a period of time. They will come loose. And got my return springs. Got my comfort pad and my seat cushion. Got my aluminum torque tube. My pulley on the front, which is a homemade pulley, and the safety strap on it. And I think most of that's fairly well to plans. I attached my jury struts. I don't know whether anybody else does it that way, but the reason I've done it that way, again, I take these off and put them on. And it's a whole lot easier to pull 3 bolts off and have one member to wrestle with. Now, I've got a set of cable guides low, and I got a set of cable guides high. And then up here at the top, what I've done up here, I've got some rod end bearings I happen to have, and just a 3/16 a -10 bolt through there with washers to space it off, and a washer on the outside. Nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. Now you notice at the extreme ends, these cables loosen up. They're tighter in the middle, and then they loosen up at the extreme end. And it's never been a problem. You can kind of see the landing gear geometry. Now, my top wing, I've done 2 things to raise it over what the plans say. I raised it structurally with the tubing about 1 inch, and then instead of putting the wing straps on the top of the wing like shown on the plans, I put them on the bottom of the wings, and that raised it approximately 2.5 inches. And works quite well, no complaints. On the Legal XL, you notice I don't have fences on it like the plans call for. And the thing that I found is when I took those fences off the end, it made a huge difference in roll rate. It made it roll like it's supposed to. Now you might also notice I got tape up there, and that's taping over my hard points where I mount cameras. I got a set of tie downs here, and mainly it's spacers because you need an 1/8 inch spacer in there. It gives me a tie down point and a spacer all in one shot. Now, engine, carburetor. I've been through several different iterations of carburetor support, and this one seems to be doing okay. Got it underneath the carburetor, ties off to the bottom of the engine down here, and then comes over, fastens here, and goes down, does the same thing on this carburetor over here. That way carburetors move when the engine moves. And this engine comes from Scott Kessler. It's dynamically balanced, runs pretty darn smooth. I've run 4-cylinder Lycomings that were rougher than this thing. You can see my landing gear. I've got springs in it. I've flown it for probably 140 or 50 hours without springs, and then I put the springs in it. The springs for short field landing or off field, rough fields, is the only way to go. and there is a weight savings, but unless you're on a nice big smooth concrete or asphalt runway, I would highly recommend putting the springs in it. And these are the Black Max wheels and brakes. Now I've done one other thing on the wheels and brakes, because I fly in a lot of different conditions and a lot of different places. I have something that it amazes me that somebody like Black Max hasn't picked up. But you see right here, I've got left brakes and right brakes. And your hand goes over the center, one hand, 2 fingers grab one side, 2 fingers grab the other side. You don't touch brakes until your tail won't stay up anymore. And when your tail won't stay up anymore, you're generally going real slow. But that's when the crosswinds like to turn you sideways. And when you turn sideways, it's real nice to have brakes to prevent that. That's what they're for, and it works real good. Anyway, got my windshield, my fuel tank up here. I had a different cover on here, but had a little bit of an oil leak here a while back, and soaked myself with oil and said, okay, that ain't going to happen again, and I modified it so the oil will get all over my bug screen and other places, but at least not all over me. Now, I do a lot of cross-country flying, and flying that takes you down to your last quart of fuel or less, and I want to know exactly how much fuel, so I have the ability to reach around and feel how much is on the float. Plus, it's right there in front of me. And anyway, seems to work. Never had any problems with it. The thing that you find when you're flying one of these, a lot of people worry about the elevator, the rudder, and the ailerons. How far up, how far down. Well, when you're flying, they don't move very far. Maybe an inch or 2 up and down at the absolute most. The only time they move more is when you're landing and you're low and slow and you got crosswinds and you know you're bumping around and stuff like that in the winds. Then it's nice to have a little bit more. And so basically my goal was about 20 degrees, 25 degrees up and down on everything. And some of it's closer than others, but not a problem. And anyway, you see some more hard points here that aren't painted. My pins go in, and there's a safety wire that goes through and is bent over that keeps them in there. Like on the plans, there's a set here and a set on the inside. And that's what Illegal's all about. Now you notice it's terribly dirty, and I got to clean it again because it is in desperate need of being cleaned. And been busy with work and life and haven't been able to clean it lately, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks I can get it cleaned again. I use Lemon Pledge, not any of the knockoffs. It takes the real Lemon Pledge and lots of white terry cloth towels, and it cleans up like a champ. I've tried a lot of different things over the years, but that seems to work the best. And anyway, one of the things, you might notice some hanger rash up here, and I've got another eagle back there in the hanger, and every once in a while I bump the two together. Now this right here is taped over, but the reason it's taped over, I have a strobe light that plugs in there and a little bungee that goes down and fastens right here. So if I'm flying that 20 minutes before daylight or 20 minutes after sunset, I can fly with that light and be nice and legal. Anyway, give you some ideas. Now, my cover up here is not your everyday cover. There's no screws holding it on. It's all wire ties and Velcro. The wire ties are up inside. They hold it down and pull tension on it to hold it tight. And then there's a Velcro cover on the bottom of it up there. And anyway, again, the reason I've done that's because I take it apart and put it together. Putting all those little screws in there can take you half an hour. I can take that on and off in just a few minutes. and the net cost is about 4 wire ties. So anyway, one of the things when you build one of these, you always want to build them as light as possible. And whenever you build something, if I was building another one, for instance, these right here, there'd be a hole drilled top and bottom just to lighten that up a little bit more, because you don't need all of that mass to hold that in place. So you could drill a lot more lightning holes. These things right here, you notice I got a couple of holes. Well, you could have drilled holes all the way down there. Wouldn't hurt anything, but it'd lighten it up. So you always got to think about those things.